एक चोर ने रंग जमाया, एक चोर ने रंग जमाया जी सच बोल के.
I'll begin by asking about your association with Naya Theatre, your earliest memory of getting involved in Naya Theatre.
Naya Theatre was founded in 1959. My parents got married in 1961. I was born in 1964. So I was literally born into the Naya Theatre. And my first role was a monkey's role in Agra Bazaar. I was 4 or 5 years old. And my father had done a play, Kusta Ka Chaprasi, which was based on the Bangladesh war. And this was in 1971, and you could hear the airplanes, the warplanes. So I had played the role of a poor girl who has a banana in her hand and she's even deprived of that banana. And Patriot was a newspaper in those days, and close-up shot of mine, dressed in a Bengali sari. That was the close-up. And the actor used to snatch away the banana from my hand was Gyan Sharma. He was a cello player. And he belonged to Shanti Vardhan's group. So Gyan Sharma was a big asset in Naya Theatre. And so that was my first memory of being associated
with Naya Theatre. Right. So after Agra Bazaar, and then what was the next play that you acted in, that you remember?
Then I used to be in crowds in Charandas Chor. My first role was in 1989. No, before that I did a bit role in Mitti Ki Gaadi, JT's role. And that was early 1980s. Yes. And after that, a full role, a bigger role, was in 1989, The Courtesan in Agra Bazaar. Yes.
But I'm sure you have memories of Habib Saab creating plays in your household along with these actors. Can you share some of your memories of how Habib Tanvir actually made a play from the scratch?
I can think of Brecht's play, Gurupun of Shadzwan, Sadapati Shantibai. He read the translation, and then he used to see a lot of Brecht's shows abroad. And then he made Amar Singh and Dwarka and Udaram sit and write in Hindi. Script, which he had translated some character in Hindi. It was in Chhattisgarhi. I think 1 or 2 characters spoke in Hindi. So they used to write. And he spent a long time, very intense, dense time on the script, on the text. That was half the production. And he used to work on the script till the very end and do the casting of a certain production till the very end. So everybody knew everybody's role. Even when he worked on music in this, for hours, bas gaane ka rehearsal chal raha, and what he really wanted. He used Chhattisgarhi tunes, he used some of his own tunes from the Urdu Mushaira tradition. So he was a hard taskmaster. He made the actors work hard. And rehearsal used to go on till 1 or 2 o'clock at night. His creative fever, I will call it, it used to be so passionate, and he was a master of his pen. Because I think he was a poet, that was an asset for him to write in prose. Because if you are a poet, you are already terse. In a few lines you express a lot. So his prose had become very condensed and compact because of that.
And I think that precision also showed in his productions.
Yes. No, and also the training which he got in England from Duncan Ross in the Old Vic. He had said, telling the story is the success of the production, any production. So he remembered this till his very last breath, that the story should be clear-cut and lucid and should flow like a river. And whatever comes as an obstruction should be taken out of the production, whether it is costume or property or set. If it is hampering the flow of the story, acting as a hindrance, that should be removed. So he kept that. And I remember best because this place, Alapurti Shantibai, because I was just a mute observer. But you know, till 11, 12 at night, used to see them improvise, give them a particular scene, explain a particular scene. Like in a play, you see the units, main units. Then there are sub-units to a particular scene. There are sub-units. So, if you dissect a scene, he used to make them do improvisation, in blocking of a scene. And then whatever dialogue which he liked and which was relevant to the story, he put it down. And then, and if he had written a scene in Urdu, that was his mother tongue, and in the Urdu Arabic script, if he had written it down, he had to get it written down in Hindi immediately. So, he would, so that the thought process doesn't break anyway. And then there is another play, Himma Ki Amar Kahani, which is about the Buster Travels, the exploiter and the exploited, the haves and the have-nots. And that was a very tough. So every play has a research behind it. So this play, he talked to many people and he read about Parveer Chand Bhandev. It is about him. And he went to Bastar and he read several books written by Verrier Elvin on the travel of Bastar. Not only Bastar travels, but the travel of Andhra and the travels of Greens, so many books. And he was a researcher and a scholar and a searcher. That has a different story. And he was working with the Adivasis. We had a workshop in Bastar for a month near Dantewada in the village. And about 150 Adivasis were dancing. It was so splendid. And for me, it's very sad that whatever Bastar is going through now, and terrorism and Maoist, it's very, very sad because the tribals suffer a lot.
They are the ones
who suffer the most. So these two plays, and there's another play, Dekh Rahe Hain, which was a story written by Stephen Zweig, The Eyes of My Undying Traveler. That was in '92. And that was about Karm Nishkarm, action in action. So it was very close to the Gita philosophy, and he worked very hard on this. So the three productions which I really remember clearly. Yes.
In public mind, Naya Theatre's productions are always linked with, folk forms of Chhattisgarh or the Nacha tradition. But if you ask me, I can immediately remember of Mitti Ki Gari, which had nothing to do with Chhattisgarhi folk per se. So, can you talk about this?
This is, I would say, a notion people have that it's folk theatre, but it comprises of folk artists, but it is not folk theatre. It is contemporary theatre. But he first tried to understand the folk Nacha form. And he took from it the strong points of it. And in Nacha, traditionally, there are two actors, or at the most three. And when there is a group, then it tends to be theatre and not Nacha. And he had to unlearn whatever he had learned in Britain. And he tried to make them speak in Hindi. And they used to get very cramped in the acting and used to wonder what is wrong. They're not acting with abandon like they used to on the village stage. And gradually, it dawned upon him that it is because of the Hindi, and then he made them speak in their own dialect, and they were full of abandon. So then he dropped the idea of making them speak in Hindi deliberately and use their own mother tongue, in which they are very expressive. So that was one thing. They, on the other hand, the folk artists, learned the theatre, the dramaturgy of theatre. So they had to, cross. Small compartment is also not a good word. I'm not finding the correct word. Out of the Nata tradition into a bigger arena. You see? Right.
So they were crossing a line almost,
Yes. And in Sanskrit theatre, my father experimented with Sanskrit theatre also. Like you mentioned, Nageen Tanvir. He was experimenting, was researching about Mitti Ki Gadi when he went in the 1950s abroad, 1955 to 58. And he saw several productions of Mitti Ki Gadi abroad, German production, French production, English production. And he found there is something which is obstructing the story. And he made 12 sets on paper. Every set was a hindrance in the flow of the story. And then he concluded, he came to a circular platform and the story flowed. Because at one instant of time, the Juari, the gambler, is on the street, then he's in the courtesan's house, then he's somewhere else. So I said, he was wondering, how do I do this? Show this on stage? Because time is shattered, action. So the Aristotelian theory of time, space and action. And then he came, and coincidentally, it happened coincidentally, he came to the circular platform, and when he read the Natya Shastra in translation, he read about the rasa theory, and he said, time, space and action do not exist in Indian dramaturgy, classical theatre. So rasa theory. So he came to his own discovery, and then he read, that is a story about Mitti Ki Gadi.
Mitti Ki Gadi had a beautiful set also. I mean, it was.
Oh, just a round platform, 1 foot high, and then 2 curtains, yellow curtains, with the temple motifs, Yakshara, the Yakshanis, on khadi cloth, mustard, very nice yellow, and with white and black, very nice, very simple but very nice.
Yes.
And Mitti Ki Gadi was a very successful play. And Niaz Haider, the poet, he had written the songs. So he sat with him, with Niaz Haider heard the Chhattisgarhi tunes and composed the songs. Hindi, Urdu mixed. And it suited our actors, the story of Mitti Ki Gadi, because it was about courtesan and about street people, gambler and the chandals, So it was about every strata of society, the Brahmin, the Kshatri, the Aryak, and it was a revolutionary play. So that was the first Sanskrit play which he had done successfully. And the Sanskrit scholars were up in arms, and then when he explained to them, then they became his friends. And one of them is still alive, Kamlesh Dutt Tripathi in Banaras. And he was a great admirer of my father's, and my father was a great admirer of his. And Kamlesh ji used to, he's a real knowledgeable Pandit. And he used to do Chanakya and Mudrakshas in his own production. And so he's a very good orator with a ringing voice and light thinkers, my father and me. So that's the story about Mitti Ki Gadi. And you see why the theatre is contemporary, because not only have we taken folk tales, but we have taken plays Brecht, Shakespeare, and Molière, and Sanskrit classical plays. You see, Mudra, Rakshas, Mitri.
Even his last production was Tagore's production.
Yes,
right?
yes. And no, he wanted to do Shakuntala.
Shakuntala.
And he couldn't, and he said, like, you're just right to do Shakuntala's role, but that was not to be, unfortunately. So, you see, he saw a lot. Abroad, he saw Kudiyattam in the south, he saw Thayyam in the south, and he saw so many traditional theatres of the country. And he saw urban theatres in India, he saw theatres abroad, and he read so many books, and he saw the folk artists on the village stage, and then he made his own formula and assimilated everything, in a concentrated form and crystallized it and made it contemporary theatre.
The next question is about the most popular play of Naya theatre, of course, Charan Das Chor. And it's almost become synonymous, Habib Tanvir, Naya theatre, Charan Das Chor. One is, if you can recall, how many shows there have been of Charan Das Chor?
More than 2,000, I think.
Oh, yes. More than 2,000 shows.
Since 1975.
And what do you think is the reason behind this popularity of Charan Das Chor? What is exactly, what did hit that right chord?
I think it's the story, the Rajasthani folktale and the story written by Vijayanath Milkha. It is about truthfulness and about corruption. That's the catchy point. And a folktale becoming a classic. And it is about, and it is contemporary because Socrates died because of truthfulness, Gandhiji died because of truthfulness, Jesus died because of truthfulness. So, and this is about an ordinary thief. So, it's, if you see it on a bigger panorama, it is very significant and it is akin to whatever has happened in the world, in the history, in the past. So, I think that is contemporary. Of course.
Do you remember the making of Charan Das Chor?
Oh yes, we went to Rajasthan for a month, Barunda district, and my mother had tuberculosis, which was high fever, and my father was experimenting with Rajasthani folk actors there, Bhopa Bopi, and did 2 plays with them, their own plays. Thakur Rusno, Thakur Pritipal Singh, and he tried to produce Charan Das Chor with the Rajasthani actors, but the sense of satire was missing. That was, he discovered this only in this region of Chhattisgarh, because they have an excellent sense of humor and a sense of satire, which they understand instinctively. One doesn't need to explain to a Chhattisgarhian artist, it's inbuilt in his own nature. So, worked there and worked with Komal Kothari and heard lots of music and Neil Kappad and all that, as you know. And then came back to Delhi and then my father worked with the Satnamis. Satnami is a sect in Chhattisgarh. Their motto is to speak the truth. And they have a white colored flag, on a pedestal, which is called the Jay's Thumb. And did a small skit called Chor Chor. The main original name of the story was Sachai Ki Bisat. And Chor Chor was a small 20-minute skit which he did in front of the Bhilai steel plant people in the Maidan after the Natya had finished. And there were the Satnamis in thousands, and this was in the 70s. And he said, I have a skit to show you. It was 6 in the morning. Will you please be seated and see it? They all said yes. So showed and it clicked. And from there, the flight took off. And now in Vijayanath story, the thief steals in heaven, you know, and which Shambhani will have shown in his film. It was for the children.
Yes.
But he had two endings to the play. One was Vijayandeta's end, and the other end was that when the chore gets killed, that should be the end of the play. And Rajiv Sethi was there because he was working with Rajiv Sethi also in Rajasthan. And Rajiv Sethi said, Habib, have the other end when he steals in heaven and after death. And my father said, no, Rajiv, I think the end should be where I end the play, the story. And let us try my end. And there was a show in Delhi. He showed his end and it clicked. The audience was laughing throughout the play, and when the thief dies, there was pin drop silence. And then there was a song, Satya Ishwara, Ishwari Satya. The audience started going and then stopped. And then there's the ritual, the jazz thumb pedestal, the white flag, and iconizing the church. I mean, celebrating truth. Exactly. So, you know, offering flowers and all. And then the last song, Ek Chor Narang Maya. So, and then there was standing ovation, and there was a big applause. So that end clicked and it stuck. And my father said, now Rajiv, this end has worked, and now it's like killed. It's the story which is very infectious. So that he steals and he speaks the truth and he keeps stealing.
Yes.
You know, that is the thing, the paradoxical, I think, which clicked with the audience psyche.
Right. Will you sing for us a little bit from Charandas Chor?
I'll sing you the last song.
Right, please.
एक चोर ने रंग जमाया, एक चोर ने रंग जमाया, एक चोर ने रंग जमाया जी, सच बोल के संसार में नाम कमाया, संसार में नाम कमाया, संसार में नाम कमाया जी, सच बोल के। चोरी ही उसका नसीब था, पैसे वाला था गरीब था, बस उसका ये किस्सा अजीब था, सच बोल के। भाग्यशाली या भागा कहाया, भाग्यशाली या भागा कहाया, भाग्यशाली या भागा कहाया जी, सच बोल के। एक चोर ने रंग जमाया, एक चोर ने रंग जमाया, एक चोर ने रंग जमाया जी, सच बोल के।
Habib Sahib has always worked with these folk artists and mostly the farmers or the migrant laborers. How do you think they have contributed apart from the performers of the nacha? That is something else, right? They are performers and they know how to go about it. But Habib Sahib has worked with other people also from different professions who were not performers.
Yes.
Right? So how do you think they have contributed to the playmaking?
My view is that because they are village people, they are simple at heart. So the simplicity comes across. And if I link the two things, Duncan Ross had said that, Habib, remember, the telling of the story is the success of the production. So, unless there is simplicity, there will not be lucidity. The flow is going to be hindered on and off again and again. So, because of the simplicity of the acting, they underplay. Like in Bengali films, underplaying is a sign of good acting. You see, so they underplay, they do not act, they are natural actors. So they don't act, so they don't overdo any acting. Even the slapsticks which they use in Nacha, it's so natural. So it's the simplicity
That
of
they have
acting and the satire, the understanding of satire which I mentioned earlier. And they made my father unlearn what he had learned in Britain. So he had to start from scratch. Some roles are very complicated. Like there was a play called Bahadur Kalani, which was on incest, mother and son. And figure wife could not render the role during rehearsals. So that was portrayed as her son was portrayed as a bad man. But my father said, suppose the son is grown up and has attained puberty, but the mother still massages his body. So he has got a fixation for his mother. So try to understand it from this point of view. And then when he explained this, she immediately understood what he wanted. And just subtly, just an ishara, and that was one of her best roles in her career. She was so sensitive and she did it very sensitively, that role. And then when we spoke about, and it's a Chhattisgarhi folktale, people say, how can you portray this on stage? And when he spoke to so many villagers, they said, हाँ हमारे घर में भी है मामा भतीजा भांजी और फुप्पी और ये और बाप बेटी और माँ बेटा. So many episodes came, of incest. So that was more popular in among many Calcuttans than Charandas children because of the story, and it was a tragedy. Very nice. So, she was highly intelligent. But there were some actors who had to be hit and slapped, and who could not support, for instance, you see, talent has nothing to do with education. Now, you see, it's God-given. Like Gulwaram, he was a coward by caste. So he was very dumb, but highly talented. And some difficult roles he could not understand. Baba scolded him and gritted his teeth and just went on and on, And then finally he used to get the result. So they were difficult people to tackle, but they worked hard. And he made them think. They made him think also. And he saw so many folk theatres of the country, and he saw that our art in India is based on improvisation, whether it is classical music. Within the framework of the rag, you improvise. You used to hear lots of musicians. So he came to the conclusion, why don't I use this methodology of improvisation with my actors? He used to, I'm giving you an example, he used to, suppose he had to block a particular scene. He used to tell them the gist of the scene, what is required, and tell them, आप अपने आप से dialogue बोलिए और movement करिए. So they used to improvise, and he used to see it and see it and see it again and again and again, till his thought became clear in his mind, and then he used to clinch the movement. And whatever he liked in the improvisation, the dialogues, he used to note in his diary, and then write the text of the particular scene. So it is a mutual give and take process. It was not that they were always at the receiving end. It was a give and take process.
Can you just talk about Habib Saab's adaptation of Shakespeare?
When the English actors, I think Royal Shakespeare Company or something to do with Shakespeare Company, I forget. They said, they approached my father and they said that we want you to choose a production of Shakespeare, we leave it to you. And our company, we want our company to do a play with your company, a collaborative production. So my father read the entire series of Shakespeare, all the tragedies, all the comedies, and he came to the conclusion that he should do Midsummer Night's Dream because it is light-hearted and it's a fairy story, so which suits the Indian tradition and concept, you see. Indian culture. So, in 8 days, day and night, it was not an adaptation, it was a translation,
Translation.
verse to verse translation. Blank verse to blank verse, rhyme verse to rhyme verse, and he just the mechanics, not the entire, not the couple having a
Yes.
and the mechanics, the story, the play within the play. He translated it and wrote the songs and also put them to tune. And then he told the British actors, my version is ready. Now when are you coming? Because what was decided, we'll do the shows in 20 cities here and then 20 cities in England. That was the... And then it fizzled out and they were, I think they had no funds and something went wrong financially, so they couldn't. So my father said, all right, anyway, my version is ready. So we made it into a full production. And Kamdev ka apna Basant Ritu ka sapna, Midsummer Night's Dream, it is about spring, right? So that's a Basant Ritu. Kamdev is the god of love.
Yes, the Cupid.
You see, so when this essence of the flower is put into Titania's eye, and then she dreams and she's in a trance. So that's why the name Kamdev. And then we had a show at the BBC in Delhi. We had 24 Adivasis in it.
Yes.
12 by Simhan and 12 Adivasis from Narayanpur. And Mr. Ashok Bajpayee had also come. A whole lot of people had come. And it was a success. So, that is the story behind Midsummer Night's Dream. And I love the songs of Midsummer Night's Dream because they are in Urdu and the tunes are very nice. Only one tune is Chhattisgarhi and the song was written in Chhattisgarhi. And the style of the song is a traditional Chhattisgarhi song. The other songs are all my father's tunes from the Urdu Mushara tradition. मुझे पता है मेरी बन की रानी कहाँ सोई है, जहाँ चमेली महक रही है और सरसों फूली है. मुझे पता है मेरी बन की रानी कहाँ सोई है, जहाँ कनेरी के पेड़ पे पीले पीले फूल सजे हैं, आस पास कुछ उदे फूलों की भी बेल चढ़ी है, जहाँ गुलाब के गुलवा पास के फूली फूल खिले हैं, जहाँ पे बासों के एक कुंज में, जहाँ पे बासों के एक कुंज में कोयल कूक रही है. मुझे पता है मेरी बन की रानी कहाँ सोई है, जहाँ चमेली महक रही है और सरसों फूली है. So all the names of the flowers have been changed to chameli, champa, gulab, daffodils, and all those names have been changed.
Right.
So, and the ropes were there to donate the forest.
Forest, yes.
This is the effect of the forest. And the palace scene with Demetrius, Lysander, we had tissue dupattas, of different colors hanging with tassels.
And I still remember the lamp, when they see that moon.
Yes.
That's a beautiful scene. The lal thing. That was the most beautiful scene that I ever
Shita was very good.
Yes, very good. Extremely
He's not with us now, he's dead.
Right.
Most of the actors are dead. So, Moon was very funny.
It was very funny. It was very funny. Extremely funny. So I remember that very much. Yeah. So after Habib Saab and after so many old actors who are no more there, what are the transformations that you have brought about and what are the future plans that you have for Naya Theatre?
The transformation which I have brought about, I have some new actors from Bilaspur. They came in 2000 and then 2003 and 2011, and I'm still looking for new actors from Chhattisgarh. And I've incorporated city actors with our folk artists, because now we have to have city actors also, and many 2 or 3 actors can speak fluent Chhattisgarhi, which is an asset. So that is what I have thought about, and I'm trying to revive as many as I can my father's old plays. And the future plans, I call guest directors to direct plays. And we did a play in 2011 and 12, Konark.
Konark, yes.
J.C. Mathur. J.C. Mathur. And we used the Gotikua dancers from Odisha. And that was successful. People who liked it very much. People who didn't like it at all. So, there were mixed reactions. That needs to be improved upon. And Ramchandra Singh had directed the play. I had given the music and the costumes. And we bought the costumes in Odisha, all Gulia sarees. And I enjoyed costume design. I used to help my father in the music since Hirma Kyamarkani, that was 1985. Since then I was helping him with the music. So I need to train more actors in the Naya theatre idiom. Naya theatre should become a reference point for other theatre practitioners of the country, and maybe also people from abroad. Like a pivotal point, people refer to Naya theatre for research or for help or to understand dramaturgy, because Naya theatre has its own dramaturgy. And that is my future plan, which will, I think, take some time. Because I'm glad Sarvida is doing this interview, because many people in the country think that Naya theatre is dead, it is not working anymore. So at least this information will go to people. You see, that is the future plan. And to do new plays, they need not be, traditionalist. They can be experimental plays also. Because we need to expand our canvas, and that is the plan. And I'll try to revive as many as I can my father's plays, and provided I get good actors. And right now the main problem is that I need actors from Chhattisgarh. Yes. And a different kind of arrangement to run the Naya theatre. It cannot be run the way my father ran it, because that is outdated method. It cannot run that way because now the needs and demands have changed.
Certainly.
And because of the mass media and the mobile phone, the actors from Chhattisgarh do not want to stay here. So I think I will have to make a different kind of, use a middle path, and this kind of arrangement that they come for rehearsal, they come for training, they go back and they return and they go back. You see.
So last question, how was Habib Tanvir as a father?
Oh, he was a very gentle father.
He was a very gentle father.
Very gentle, and he used to sing to me. And I am surprised the amount of tune, the number of tunes he remembered from all over. कहीं South India से कुछ धुन याद थी, कहीं से कुछ गुजरात से, and he had a musical voice, and his understanding of music was very acute. So he was very good as a father, very gentle, and like this play in which I do Aparna, Raj, which is an amalgamation of Raj Rishi, the novel, and Vishal. I couldn't do the role because my mother just died a year ago, and all the time Aparna goes to Kali and says, "Ma," and then I used to get my mother's image in front of my, to become quite a same obsession with me, and then I couldn't do the role, and my father then he just edited Aparna ruthlessly, so many dialogues he just edited that she's having problem learning the dialogue, And he said, should I call some actors from Calcutta who can... then I summoned up my courage and I did the role. But he handled me very sensitively, that he just lost her mother, and he was highly intelligent. So he was very, very generous, and he was like a mentor to me. You know, like if I said something which was not, he said, you should never think like that. Don't think like that. And you see, so just like old ustads are very subtle. In one sentence they used to say, "इस तरह से नहीं सोचना चाहिए." So you know, very subtle, and he had this old kind of sophistication which many people now don't understand. You see, so he was like a father for daughters are like heroes.
And this interview will not be complete without mention of Monica ji, right?
Yes.
Without your mother, Naya Theatre and Habib Saab's contribution is, can you just speak about her a bit?
Oh, she was a very determined woman, and health-wise she was so weak, you know. She got tuberculosis so many times, she had arthritis, she had epilepsy also. And despite that, she had that grit. I know it was because of her that Naya reached the heights it reached. It was because of my mother. And she was very passionate about theatre. Academically, my father considered her his senior because she had learned theatre in Denver, Colorado in the 50s. You see, and she had training in lighting, costumes, production, direction, everything. And he used to take her advice in everything, in direction, everything. And he used to take her advice, and when he did not want her advice, he used to just keep quiet and silently not take her advice. Do what he wanted to do. You know, and of course they had disagreements, they had quarrels. And she took a back seat when she married him because she felt he's more knowledgeable than I am, which was a very wise decision. Otherwise there would have been ego clash.
Right. Someone had to let go.
That was her Libra Bengali head. मुझे पता है मेरी बन की रानी कहाँ सोई है.